When we think of religious buildings, we recall Gothic arches of cathedrals, the elaborate roof forms of Chinese temples, the Arabic domes of mosques, and the sculpted pantheons of Hindu temples. But some architects have taken a bold step forward and broken away from these traditional forms. In this episode, we delve into the new religious spaces of Singapore. For a young modern city like Singapore, it is often tempting to import ideas from elsewhere. But architect Tay Keng Soon believes in looking within the city for inspiration.
When people talk about a contemporary, what they actually mean is contemporary in relation to the styles of Europe and America. And I don't agree with that at all. I think one needs to be contemporary to our place, our time, our space. We are not ignorant of what's happening in the rest of the world, and we should take that in. But our primary creative response must be about this place. And I think Chidong Temple demonstrated that.
Located in the heart of a housing estate, Chidong Temple's unconventional pyramid structure draws a curious gaze. Sheathed in rows of copper plates, the pyramid roof seems to hover above its stone foundation. The design of this unique structure was born out of an unusual encounter in 1987.
The temple committee called me and said, would you like to do a temple? So I said, yeah, why not? So they said, come and see the master on a certain day and time. So I went to see the master. And to my surprise, the master was actually an old lady who was in a trance. And then she said, how will you design it? I said, I will not have any walls. Maybe the roof should be glass. She stopped for a while and said, what do you mean by glass roof? I said, yeah, I want to let in the sunlight. Brighten the place. Then without any hesitation, she said, show me some samples.
Upon receiving the divine green light, Keng Soon quickly went about executing his idea for the temple. He wanted to transform conventional Chinese architectural forms and introduce tropical climatic elements. The walls were eliminated. Keng Soon believes that walls are redundant in the tropics. Only the roof is essential.
The wall, as an architectural element, is a northern climatic solution to architecture. I would therefore conclude that in the tropics, you don't need the wall. You only need the roof, right? Which is to shade from the sun and to keep the weather out. So if we have a big roof, then we don't have any walls at all. Pyramidal design just arose naturally out of the square plan form, right? Which is the maximum space that we can occupy.
However, a pyramid roof would result in sharp-pointed corners, and in Chinese feng shui, sharp corners are considered negative.
So at the next meeting with the master in a trance, she pointed it out that those four corners would be pointing at the neighbors. And remember, the site is right in the middle of a HDB neighborhood with blocks of apartments right surrounding it. Gosh, I thought to myself, that means they want to tilt up the roof. Okay, so I also realized that that's the reason why Chinese temple roofs are tilted, you see. So I decided, instead of tilting the roof in the traditional Chinese manner, I will just chop the corners off. So the platform of the roof became a kind of octagon. So the corners were chamfered. And at the next meeting after that, I showed it to the master, and she approved. Wow, what a great relief it was to me, you know.
Another unique feature of the temple is the apex of the pyramid. It allows natural light to illuminate the interior.
Indirect sunlight would be let into the space. I didn't want any direct sunlight because that would be too hot. So I developed a whole series of petals, sunshade with mirrors so that the light would bounce in rather than come in directly.
At night, the temple becomes even more prominent against the landscape, as roof mirrors reflect light from the candles onto the altar. King Soon's design has broken away from traditional motifs with its unique structure. But is the transformation beyond recognition?
I was trying to get a taxi driver to bring me to the place. I tried to describe the temple to the taxi driver, and the taxi driver said, "Ah, you mean the temple of the glass lotus?" So wow, I thought to myself, you know, without intending to conjure up a kind of a traditional iconic image of a lotus, that was how the taxi driver, an ordinary person, read the design. The design cannot be found anywhere else in the world. It is only found in Singapore, and I think that is a statement which I think is, I'm satisfied with that.
A modern expression of a traditional form, Chi Tong Temple has reinvented the familiar with an unusual twist.